There is a moment in life, a quiet, almost invisible moment, where everything begins to shift, not on the outside but on the inside. No one around you notices it. Nothing dramatic happens, but deep within you, something no longer feels the same. You wake up, and the life you were living yesterday feels different today. No wrong, just different. And that difference is where transformation begins. Most people miss this moment because it doesn't look like success. It doesn't feel like clarity. It doesn't come with excitement. It comes with confusion, with discomfort, with questions you can't answer yet. And because of that, people think something is wrong. But what if nothing's wrong? What if this is the moment your life begins to change? In this video, I'm going to tell you 10 signs show that your life is going to change. There is a type of lost that comes from not knowing where to go, and there is another type that comes from outgrowing where you are. And if your life is about to change, you will feel the second one. You begin to notice it slowly. Things that used to excite you don't excite you anymore. The same routines feel empty. The same conversations feel repetitive. The same environment feels too small for you, and you can't explain why. Because nothing has changed externally, but internally. You are not the same person anymore, and this is where the confusion begins. You ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Why don't I feel happy anymore? Why does everything feel off? But the truth is, nothing's wrong with you. You are evolving. The problem is, your life hasn't caught up to who you are becoming. So you feel lost. Not because you have no direction, but because your old direction no longer fits. This is the stage where many people panic. They try to go back to what felt familiar. They try to force themselves to enjoy what they used to enjoy. But it doesn't work. Because once you outgrow something, you cannot shrink yourself to fit back into it. Feeling lost is uncomfortable. It feels like standing in the middle of nowhere. You don't know where you come from anymore, and you don't know where you are going yet. But this space is uncertainty, is where your new life is forming. So if you feel lost right now, don't rush to escape it, because you are not lost, you are in transition. The second sign is that you start questioning everything. At some point, your mind wakes up, and when it does, it doesn't stay quiet. You start asking questions, not small questions, but deep ones. Questions that disturb your comfort, questions that challenge your entire life. You begin to wonder, why am I living like this? Is this really what I want? Am I becoming the person I'm supposed to be? And these questions don't leave you alone. They follow you into your daily routine. They show up in a quiet moment. They interrupt your distractions. Because your awareness has expanded, and once awareness expands, you can't go back. Before, you could live on autopilot. You could follow routines without thinking. You could accept things as they are. But now, your mind refuses to settle. This is one of the most powerful signs of change. Because questioning your life is the beginning of asking control of it. But it is also uncomfortable. Because the answers are not always easy. Sometimes the answer is, you are not where you want to be. You are not living your full potential. You are not doing what fulfills you. And facing that truth requires courage. That's why many people avoid questioning, because it forces them to see what they have been ignoring. But if you are questioning everything right now, don't be afraid, because your mind is not trying to destroy your life. It is trying to rebuild it. 3 of the signs that show that your life is going to change is that you feel uncomfortable more than usual. Something feels off even when everything looks fine. Your life hasn't collapsed, nothing dramatic has happened, but inside you feel tension, you feel restless, you feel unsettled, you feel like something is missing, and you don't know how to explain it. Because from the outside everything seems okay, but growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens in tension. When your life is about to change, your comfort zone starts to break. What once feels safe now feels limiting, and this creates discomfort. You begin to notice things you ignored before, habits that waste your time, environments that drain your energy, decisions that don't align with who you are becoming. And more aware you become, the more uncomfortable you feel, because you can no longer pretend, you can no longer ignore, you can no longer stay the same. This discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. It is pushing you out of the life that no longer fits you into the life that is waiting for you. But here is the challenge. Most people learn from discomfort. They distract themselves, they go back to old habits, they choose temporary relief, and by doing that, they stop their transformation. But if you stay in the discomfort, if you listen to it, if you allow it to guide you, it will lead you somewhere powerful. The fourth sign is that you are slowly letting go out of people. This one hurts because change doesn't only affect you, it affects your relationship. You start to feel different around certain people, not because they did something wrong, but because you are no longer the same. Conversations feel forced, connections feel weaker, energy feels misaligned, and this creates distance. At first, you try to ignore it, you try to hold on, you try to make things feel like they used to, but deep down, you know something has changed. And the hardest part is, you don't hate these people, you still care about them, but you are no longer growing in the same direction, and growth changes your cycle. This is where many people hold themselves back, because they are afraid of losing people, afraid of being alone, afraid of change, so they shrink. They stay where they are comfortable. They stop growing just to maintain a relationship. But here is the truth. Not everyone is meant to go with you to your next level. Some people are part of your past. Some are part of your lesson. And only few are part of your future. Letting go is painful, but staying where you no longer belong is even more painful. The fifth sign is that you feel a strong urge to change your life. At some point, it becomes undeniable. You don't just think about change, you feel it deeply. You wake up with different energy, a different mindset, a different desire. You don't want to stay the same anymore. You don't want to repeat the same patterns. You don't want to live on autopilot. You want more growth, more purpose, more meaning. And this feeling doesn't go away. It becomes stronger, louder, more urgent. You start imagining a different life, a better version of yourself, a future that excited you. And for the first time, you realize something important. You don't have to stay where you are. This is the turning point, because it is the beginning of action. It is the moment where your mind stops accepting your current life and starts reaching for something greater. But here is the truth. Feeling the urge is not enough. You must act on it. Because many people feel this and ignore it, they go back to comfort, they delay changes, they silence that voice, and slowly the urge disappears. But if you listen to it, if you follow it, if you take even one step, your life begins to transform. If you are experiencing these signs right now, your life is not falling apart. It is shifting. You are not confused. You are becoming aware. You are not uncomfortable for no reason. You are growing. You are not losing people. You are making space. You are not dreaming too big. You are finally seeing clearly. And this is the only beginning. The sixth sign that shows that your life is going to change is that you start valuing your time more than ever before. You begin to notice how you spend your time, not casually but deeply. Things that once feel normal now feel like a waste. You start seeing how much time disappears in distractions, in meaningless conversations, in habits that do not improve your life. And for that first time, this bothers you. You no longer feel comfortable wasting your days, because something inside you has realized a powerful truth. Time is your life. Every hour you lose is a part of your life you feel never get back. This awareness begins to change your behavior. You start choosing differently. You begin to protect your time. You say no more often. You prioritize what truly matters. And even though it feels difficult at first, this is one of the strongest signs that your life is moving in a better direction. The seventh sign is that you feel alone even when you are not. This is a different kind of loneliness. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like no one truly understands you. Your thoughts are changing. Your mindset is evolving. Your perspective is no longer the same. And this creates distance. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You question yourself. You wonder if something is wrong, but nothing's wrong. This loneliness is not emptiness, it is space. Space that allows you to grow, space that allows you to think clearly, space that separates you from noise. And in that space, you begin to discover who you really are. This stage is important because before you can connect deeply with the right people, you must first connect deeply with yourself. The 8th sign is that you are attracted to growth naturally. You begin to seek growth, not because someone forced you, but because you feel drawn to it. You want to learn more. You want to understand life more deeply. You want to understand yourself. You start watching meaningful content. You reflect more. You think about your future directly. This is not temporary motivation. This is a change in identity. You are no longer interested in things that keep you stuck. You are naturally moving toward things that help you to grow. And when your interests change, your direction changes. And when your direction changes, your life changes. The 9th sign that shows that your life is going to change is that you take full responsibility for your life. Something powerful happens here. You stop blaming others. You stop making excuses. Instead, you look at your life and say, "This is my responsibility," and that changes everything. Because responsibility is not a burden, it is a power. The moment you accept that your life is your responsibility is the moment you take control. You begin to understand your decisions shape your future. Your habits determine your direction. Your actions create your results. At first, this realization can feel heavy, but it is also freeing. Because now you are no longer a victim, you are the creator of your life. The 10th sign is that you feel a quiet, unshakable confidence. Even if your life is not perfect, even if you do not have all the answers, something inside you feels different. A calm certainty, a quiet belief. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you know one thing. You are nowhere you used to be, and that gives you strength. This confidence is not loud. It is about showing off. It is about proving anything. It is eternal, stable, real, and it comes from growth, from awareness, from understanding that you are evolving. This is where fear begins to lose its control over you. You start trusting yourself. You start moving forward, even without having everything figured out, and that is real confidence. And these signs come together. Something powerful begins to happen. The confusion you once felt starts to turn into clarity. The discomfort that once bothered you starts to guide you. The loneliness that once scared you starts to strengthen you. You begin to realize something important. Nothing you were experiencing was random. It was leading you somewhere. Slowly, your life starts to align with who you are becoming. You begin to make better decisions. You build better habits. You attract better opportunities. Not because you forced it, but because you changed. And when you change, everything around you begins to change. And this is your turning point. Your life begins to feel more meaningful, not because it is easier, but because it is more intentional. You are no longer reacting to life, you are creating it. You wake up with direction, you move with purpose, you start seeing progress even in a small way. And those small changes start building a completely different life. So if you are experiencing this sign right now, understand this clearly. Your life is not falling apart. It is coming together. You are not losing yourself. You are finding yourself. You are not stuck. You are transforming. And one day you will look back at this moment and you realize this is where everything started to change. So don't ignore it. Don't go back to comfort. Don't silence that voice inside you, because that voice is leading you somewhere better. Your life is changing, not by accident, but by transformation.